ready to unlock some serious linguistic secrets. You guys requested a deep dive into the Polish language and getting ready for this, well, it's been a wild ride.
It's really something.
Who knew that a language could be so musically complex and historically intertwined with everything?
Yeah, it's more than just, intriguing sounds, though, I mean, those certainly exist. But it's about understanding a language that has been shaped by just centuries of cultural exchange and resilience and maybe a little bit of linguistic flair borrowed from its neighbors.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I've been trying to wrap my head around this whole thing. Polish is like the 6th most spoken language in the European Union.
Yeah.
That's huge. I have to admit, I always kind of pictured it as this hidden gem tucked away in Central Europe.
Right. And I think that's part of what makes it so fascinating, because while it might fly under the radar for some, Polish boasts over 39 million speakers worldwide. So, its influence stretches far beyond its borders, which is a testament to its history as this major player in the heart of Europe.
So where does this whole linguistic journey begin? What are the roots of this surprisingly widespread language?
Well, imagine Europe back in the 10th century.
Okay.
That's where we first see Polish emerging as this distinct language, branching out from its Proto-Slavic roots, much like its, I guess you could say, its linguistic siblings, Czech and Slovak.
It's like watching the family tree of languages unfold.
Exactly.
But while they all share this common ancestor, Polish took a very unique turn, right? Early on, I came across something called the Book of Henryko in my research. It seems pretty pivotal to Polish history.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You're talking about a text that holds, the oldest known sentence written entirely in Polish, dating all the way back to around 1280. Now, the sentence itself, "Di ut ia pobrusa a ty pokiwasz," which translates to "let me grind and you take a rest," might not sound like much.
Not exactly Shakespeare.
Right, not exactly Shakespeare. But think about it. This simple sentence, this very simple sentence marks the moment that Polish transitioned from an oral tradition to a written language. And that shift was sparked by, a pretty monumental event, the arrival of Christianity in 966 AD. And with it came the Latin alphabet, which provided the tools needed to actually capture Polish on paper. And this adoption wasn't just about, religion. It revolutionized how knowledge was shared, how stories were told, how history was recorded.
So from this very humble beginning with a sentence about grinding grain, Polish was about to embark on a pretty incredible linguistic adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Evolving and adapting over the centuries. It makes you wonder, what would those early scribes think if they could see their language now?
I'd wager they'd be amazed by how far Polish has come, particularly during, its golden age.
Ah, the golden age. Now, that's a period that piques my curiosity. Sounds, golden. What exactly made it so special for the Polish language?
Okay. So imagine this, the 16th century, a time of incredible intellectual and artistic flourishing across Europe and Poland, right in the thick of it. You see, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which was a major power at the time, really helped propel Polish into the spotlight. It became a major language of diplomacy, science, and trade across Central and Eastern Europe.
So Polish was the go-to language for anyone who was anyone back then.
Pretty much, yeah.
But it wasn't just about politics and trade, was it? The Golden Age is also when Polish literature truly blossomed.
Exactly. This era gave rise to incredible literary talents like Jan Kochanowski, often hailed as, the father of Polish literature. And his works weren't just, beautifully crafted. They shaped the very way Polish was used. In poetry and prose, he really left his mark.
That's fascinating. So this period, it really established Polish as this multifaceted language capable of expressing really complex ideas in literature, navigating, all the ins and outs of diplomacy, and even facilitating the exchange of scientific discoveries.
Right.
That's a far cry from that simple sentence in the Book of Henryko.
Oh, absolutely. And as impressive as this golden age was, Polish's transformation wasn't over. It continued to evolve, absorbing influences, and ultimately becoming the complex and intriguing language that we're about to delve into even further.
Speaking of complex and intriguing, I think it's high time we talked about what makes Polish so unique. Phonetically.
Yep.
I have to be honest, even just reading about it, I encountered some sounds that had me wondering if I needed a whole new set of vocal cords.
Well, get ready to stretch those tongue muscles, because Polish is it's famous, or perhaps infamous, for its consonant clusters.
Oh, yeah.
These combinations of sounds, they might look intimidating on paper, but trust me, they give the language its distinctive, almost musical rhythm.
I'll admit the word Szebrestin, which is a real town in Poland, by the way, had me completely tongue-tied. It's like a mini linguistic workout.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Polish words can have up to 5 consonants strung together. Take bezgleni, for example. Don't worry if you can't quite pronounce it yet.
5 consonants. Wow. I'm starting to see why people find this language so captivating.
Yeah.
But those consonant clusters, I mean, they're just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
Tell me more about these nasal vowels that seem so uniquely Polish.
Yes. These sounds, they're represented by the letters O and Se, and they add a certain richness, a certain depth to the spoken language. Imagine a vowel sound, but it's being subtly pushed through both your nose and your mouth simultaneously. That's the essence of a nasal vowel.
That's incredible. It's like a whole other dimension of pronunciation.
Yeah.
And then there's that mysterious E that seems to throw people off. It looks like it should be an L, but it sounds completely different.
It does, yeah. It sounds closer to the English W, a bit like a soft whispered wa sound. It's these little quirks that make learning Polish so rewarding.
It's like discovering these hidden treasures within a language. But before we get too carried away with the fascinating world of Polish pronunciation, I have a feeling things are about to get even more interesting as we delve into the complexities of grammar. 7 cases. Now, that's a concept I'm eager to have you unpack.
7 it is. Now, before you let that number intimidate you, just remember, it's all about adding layers of nuance and expression. Think of each case as a different lens you use to view a noun's role within a sentence. So instead of just saying, the dog, Polish lets you express to the dog, with the dog, about the dog, all by just subtly changing, like, the ending of the noun.
So it's like each case adds a layer of detail. A bit like adding brushstrokes to a painting to create a more, nuanced and intricate picture.
A perfect analogy. Yeah, it allows for a level of precision and expressiveness that many language enthusiasts find, utterly captivating. And as if 7 cases weren't enough, we also have verb aspects to consider.
Oh boy.
Perfective and imperfective.
Okay, I'll confess, verbs can sometimes make my head spin.
Right.
It's like they hold the entire sentence hostage until they decide what they want to do. But seriously, what's the deal with these aspects?
Okay, think of it this way. Polish verbs, they aren't just content with telling you what action is happening. They want to give you the full picture, the how, the when, and the to what extent. So, perfective verbs, they're all about completion. They emphasize that an action was finished, done, dusted.
So if I said, I read the book, using a perfective verb, it would imply I'd, close the book, maybe even breathe a sigh of contentment at finishing it.
Precisely. And the listener knows you're talking about a completed action. Now, if you were to use the imperfective aspect, let's say I was reading the book, it paints a different scene. It emphasizes the ongoing nature of the action.
So it's like you're giving me a glimpse into the process of reading, the turning of pages, the moments of absorption. It's amazing how these subtle shifts in verb aspects can change the entire feeling of a sentence.
Exactly. It's like having a whole extra set of colors to paint with when you're, constructing sentences in Polish. It's no wonder that Polish literature is so celebrated for its depth and nuance.
Speaking of variety and nuance, I'm eager to delve into the world of Polish dialects. From what I've gathered, it's not just one monolithic language, it's more like a tapestry woven from these regional variations. What can you tell us about this fascinating aspect of Polish?
You're right. Polish is anything but monolithic. It boasts this rich tapestry of regional dialects, each with its own unique history, its own flavor.
Yeah.
Take the Gorals dialect, for example, spoken in the mountainous south of Poland. Influenced by its proximity to Slovakia, it has this very distinct rhythm, a distinct vocabulary that sets it apart.
It's fascinating how geography and history just intertwine to shape how people speak. And then there are those dialects that seem to straddle the line between dialect and a distinct language altogether. I'm thinking of Kashubian and Silesian, which seem to spark quite a bit of debate among, linguists.
Oh, yes. The age-old question, dialect or distinct language. It's a testament to the fluid nature of language itself, really. Take Kashubian, spoken in the Pomeranian region.
Okay.
It boasts an impressive 9 vowels.
9.
That's some serious vowel power compared to, standard Polish. It even uses a unique system of grammatical gender that sets it apart.
9 vowels, that's a lot for my ears to get used to.
Right. And then there's Silesian, with its roots intertwined with Czech and German influences.
Right.
Spoken in Upper Silesia, it has this distinct vocabulary and pronunciation that often leads to, well, let's just say lively debates about its classification.
It's incredible how these dialects just reflect the complex history of Poland, this crossroads of cultures and influences.
Yeah.
Speaking of influences, I'm eager to uncover how these interactions have shaped Polish vocabulary. Let's talk about those borrowed words that you mentioned earlier.
Okay, get ready for a linguistic treasure hunt. Polish has a knack for embracing words from its neighbors, creating this fascinating blend of, Slavic roots with sprinkles of Romance, Germanic, and even some Turkic influences.
It's like each borrowed word tells a story about Poland's historical connections. For instance, I was surprised to learn that everyday words like pomidor for tomato and kalafior for cauliflower actually have Italian origins.
Yeah, it makes sense when you consider the historical ties between Poland and Italy, especially, during the Renaissance.
Right.
And it doesn't stop there. If you're settling down on some comfy mebel, which is Polish for furniture, you've got the French to thank for that word, and that walizka, or suitcase, you might be packing for your next trip. French, again.
It's amazing how these everyday words hold, like echoes of cultural exchange and historical connections. Of course, we can't forget about German influence. Given their shared borders, I imagine there's been quite a bit of linguistic give and take over the centuries.
Absolutely. Centuries of trade, migration, and even conflict have resulted in a significant German influence on Polish vocabulary. From words related to crafts and trade to terms describing urban life, the traces of these interactions, they're woven into the fabric of the language. And it's not just individual words, even the way some phrases are structured in Polish. It hints at, like, a subtle German influence.
It's like a linguistic puzzle, piecing together the origins of words and phrases to reveal the story of Poland's interactions with its neighbors. But amidst all this borrowing, has Polish contributed any of its own linguistic gems to other languages?
You bet. Remember those nasal vowels we talked about earlier, represented by the letters O and H?
Yeah.
Well, that little hook underneath those vowels is actually called an ogonek in Polish, which literally means little tail. Oh, that's cute.
Right.
So that tiny diacritical mark, so distinctive of the Polish language, has actually hopped over into English and other languages. I love that. It's like a small piece of Polish grammar leaving its mark on the world.
Precisely. It highlights how languages are constantly in conversation with one another, exchanging not just words, but even, grammatical concepts.
It's really incredible how these linguistic exchanges, these little back and forths, they've enriched the Polish language, turning it into this melting pot of sorts.
Yeah, it's truly a testament to Poland's history as this kind of cultural crossroads.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that beyond these fascinating linguistic features and these borrowed words, Polish boasts this incredibly rich literary tradition that deserves its own time in the spotlight, really.
Ah, yes, Polish literature. This is where the true expressive power of the language truly shines, wouldn't you say? Absolutely. From its very beginnings, Polish literature it's grappled with these huge themes: identity, history, the human condition, all with remarkable depth and artistry. And we've already touched upon Jan Kochanowski, the father of Polish literature, but the story, well, doesn't end there.
Oh, there's so much more to explore.
Yeah.
In my preparation for this deep dive, I came across the three bards: Mickiewicz, Słowacki, Krasiewski.
Yeah.
Poets who seem to hold this almost like legendary status in Polish culture.
They do, yeah. These Romantic era poets they were more than just wordsmiths. These guys were voices of a nation, grappling with Poland's, complex history, particularly during a time when it was partitioned, occupied by neighboring powers. Their words, they ignited a sense of national identity, national pride, and their verses were memorized, recited in secret gatherings.
Wow, to have that kind of impact, to give voice to a nation's hopes and struggles through poetry, that's truly remarkable. And it speaks volumes about the power of the Polish language. Yeah. To convey such depth of emotion, such depth of meaning.
Their legacy, continues to resonate today, reminding us of the power of language to unite, to inspire, and to challenge. And speaking of inspiring, we can't forget about the the remarkable achievements of Polish authors on the world stage.
So you're talking about the Nobel Prize winners. Right?
Yeah.
This is something that truly impressed me as I was digging through the material for this episode. Polish literature, it boasts an entire constellation of Nobel laureates.
It does. It's a testament to the enduring power of Polish storytelling. From Henryk Sienkiewicz, the first Pole to win the Nobel Prize in Literature back in 1905 for his historical novels, to more recent laureates like Wisława Szymborska with her incredibly insightful poetry, and Olga Kotuk, known for her genre-bending novels.
It's clear that Polish literature, much like the language itself, it refuses to be confined. It's this vibrant tapestry woven from history, from philosophy, and a touch of that unique Polish spirit, I think.
And that's what we've tried to capture in this deep dive. The spirit of a language that's as intricate as its grammar, as surprising as its consonant clusters, and as profound as its literary legacy.
I have to say, I started this deep dive with maybe a healthy dose of curiosity, but now I'm leaving with this sense of awe and a thirst to learn even more. Who knew that a single language could hold so many surprises?
It's a reminder that language learning is more than just memorizing words and grammar rules. It's about opening a window into a different culture, a different way of seeing the world, really.
It's about embarking on a journey of discovery, one Bezgludny consonant cluster at a time.
Exactly. And who knows what linguistic treasures you might uncover along the way. So to our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of languages.
Because as we've learned today, languages, they aren't just tools for communication. They're living records of history, of culture, of human connection. Until next time, keep those brains engaged.